presentation with the explanation about introduction for this topic. Nowadays, Islamic banking has shown hard progress and development in Malaysia. Islamic banking refers to a system of banking that complies with Islamic law and also known as Sharia. The product innovation is a key securing the competitive advantage in the development of Islamic banking and finance. Along with the development of Islamic banking, there are now challenges that need to be faced so that bank can increase innovative effort in designing Islamic financial product to achieve a competitive market based on Sharia principle. In Malaysia, Islamic bank have vehicle financing since 1983. Islamic vehicle financing was introduced by Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad (BIMB) as an Islamic financial product. The growth of Islamic banking system leading to the various Islamic finance products produced in Islamic bank.
In this slide, we can look at what is the objective of this research. First, the objective research is to explain the concept of AITAB. Second, to analyze the application of AITAB in Affin Islamic Bank. And third, to examine the issues in the implementation of AITAB. Okay, now we go to the slide background of AITAB. Before we go to the background of AITAB, we look at the definition of Al-Ijarah first. In fiqh, Al-Ijarah means to give something on rent. Literally, Al-Ijarah means substitute, compensation, return or counter value. Technically, Ijarah is an agreement between two parties, which is lessor and lessee. Al-Ijarah Summa Al-Bay is one of the innovation of Ijarah contract that carried out by the Islamic banking in Malaysia, which is Islamic Hire Purchase Financing or known as AITAB. AITAB product is combination of two concepts of Ijarah and Bay. After that, AITAB contains two agreements, namely the rental agreement and the purchase after the expiry of the rental period. Okay, now let's move to the next slide. In AITAB, we have four elements. First element is lessor and lessee. Lessor and lessee must have rational mind and both must be at least 18 years old. For second element is asset. Asset must exist at the time of transaction. Asset also must be of some use of some value. The asset also must be known to both the seller and buyer. Third element of AITAB is rental. Rental must be known to both the lessor and lessee. Lessor and lessee also must know the currency and absolute amount on the rental. For the last element is contract offer and acceptance. The acceptant must agree with the offer. The offer and acceptance must be made at the one and same meeting or session. Okay, next I will present about the development of AITAB. AITAB product was introduced by Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad to expand its operation through conventional banks under the Islamic banking scheme, which was spearheaded by three banks of Malayan Banking Berhad or Maybank, Bank Bumiputera Malaysia Berhad, now known as CIMB, and Bank Rakyat. Currently, there are 15 banks in Malaysia that offers AITAB for individual and corporate customers. If seen, almost all banks provide AITAB facilities for physical financing unless Bank Pembangunan and HSBC are using AITAB to finance machinery and industrial goods. Banks such as Affin Islamic Bank, Maybank, Bank Muamalat also offers AITABs to individual and corporate clients.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Halwani binti Cekmat and I will present about the application AITAB in Affin Islamic Bank. Affin Islamic Bank Berhad is wholly owned by Affin Bank Berhad. Affin Islamic offers a wide range of Islamic banking products and services to individuals, small and medium industries, institutions and even corporate bodies in Malaysia. Affin Islamic also offers complete financing products in the form of personal loans, housing loans, business loans, arahnu, and even vehicle hire purchase. Affin Islamic's personal financing plan, Affin Islamic Personal Financing I, is one of the most popular and frequently applied for unsecured Islamic personal loans. In hire purchase financing I, Affin has used contract al-ijarah summa al-bay'. I will explain how the application of AITAB in Affin Islamic Bank. According to the Sharia concept, the use of AITAB contract in Affin Islamic Bank in financing Affin Islamic hire purchase I is there are two contracts involved in this concept. And according to the Sharia concept, the use of this contract must be used one by one. The first concept apply is the lease contract and the second is the sale contract. Let's move on to the AITAB modus operandi. First contract, contract of lease, which is ijarah. A. Vendor or dealer or seller sells the vehicle ordered by the customer to the bank or finance company. B. The bank or finance company pays to the vendor full amount of the vehicle. Therefore, the banks or finance company become the owner of the vehicle. C. The customer paid deposit payment, mostly 10% of the full amount of the vehicle, to the vendor. The customer must agree to pay the road tax and insurance coverage, also responsible for the maintenance. For D, vendor delivers the vehicle to customer. This is done once the bank or finance company approve the customer's application upon in the purpose to purchase the vehicle during or at the end of the contract. Next, for the second contract, which is contract of sale. Owner hires the vehicles to the customer. The customer becomes the highest. And lastly, a customer is now responsible to pay the rental or installment to the owner with the agreed amount until the payment fully paid either during the contract or end of the contract. This is due to financing he obtained mostly 90% from the bank or owner. Next slide is about if fail to fulfill obligation. For example, let customer pay monthly installment as states in the schedule. Affin Islamic Bank use the ta'wid compensation rate method. This method is also divided into two parts, namely before and after maturity date of the facility. The ta'wid compensation rate for before the maturity date of the facility is assumed equivalent to 1% per annum on overdue installment. Until the date of full payment, the formula given is as follows. Overdue profits or installment times 1% times number of days overdue divide which are 365 days. The number of days in arrears will be calculated starting from the date the first payment was defaulted on the date of actual payment, even if the facility is terminated for any reasons. The buyer must pay compensation at the aforementioned rates before and after any judgment or court order. Regardless of the charge imposed for the late payment, it is clearly acknowledged and agreed that the amount of such late payment charge cannot be further compounded. Next, for the ta'wid compensation rate after the facility date is a sum equivalent to the prevailing daily overnight of the B&M Islamic Interbank Money Market. Rate on the outstanding balance, which is outstanding bank itself price less rebate, which is IBROC, if any. The formula used is as follows. outstanding balance times prevailing IIMM times number of days overdue and divides with 365 days. Moreover, in this ITAB contract, if the customer fully settles the financings before maturity, customers will get a rebate or a firm term as IBROC. This IBROC is given on top of the unearned customer financing profits. The calculations IBROC is rebate is as follows. Based on this formula, it can be explained that small n is the remaining financing periods in months, for example, 12 months, while the bigger n is the original financing periods in months, for example, 60 months. The net balance due is the outstanding amount financed and term charges accrued and calculated up to the next due dates of the payment. So that's all from me. I will leave it to the next presenter. Thank you.
The next slide is about difference between conventional hire purchase and ITAB. First, for the number of contract, for conventional hire purchase use single contract covering both rental and sale aspect, while ITAB is comprised to separate contract, ijarah and albay contract terms. Second, in the contract terms, for hire purchase considered as a loan to the customer. The bank charge interest on loan and the charge on purchase are borne by the customer. ITAB considered as a financing to the customer, and the bank charge fixed profit on the cost of financing and the charge on purchase are borne by the banks. Third is about source of fund. For hire purchase, no restriction on sourcing of fund, while ITAB source from halal funds. Fourth is acceptance letter. For hire purchase, no such agreement, while for ITAB, the customer has to sign the akad letter to denote the offer and acceptance of transaction. And lastly, insurance for hire purchase using conventional, while ITAB using takaful.
Next, I will continue with the issue in the implementation of ITAB. The first issue is lacking in Sharia framework. ITAB is detected to be lack of Sharia regulatory framework because there is no specific Sharia law to regulate ITAB product. Due to the absence of specific rule for Islamic hire purchase transaction, the parties involved in the ITAB transaction have no other legal option except for the conventional hire purchase law. Therefore, any dispute that arise in ITAB transaction are handled with reference to conventional law. ITAB basic operations are essentially the same as the conventional hire purchase concept. Then the only difference is on the issue of interest riba and the issuance of a letter of acceptance akad. However, the application of conventional law is rational and justified as ITAB basic operation in terms of fixed rate determination, standard documentation, and agreement formation are similar to conventional hire purchase, except in the issue of interest, riba, and issuance of letter of acceptance akad. Furthermore, civil court that handle commercial matter will decide case related to Islamic banking transaction in accordance with existing legal rule. For ITAB financing transaction, any cases related to it will be referred to the Hire Purchase Act HPA 1967. In addition, it is proposed that a special provision must be included in the HPA 1967 to clarify ITAB's position as a Sharia-compliant financing instrument and not treated like a conventional hire purchase. The second issue is the deposit payment and penalty in case of default. The deposit payment is considered part of the payment, and that is why the client will pay a lower monthly installment because the deposit payment has been made. The minimum deposit payment in Malaysia is 10% of the asset value. The purpose of the payment must be made clearly, particularly to the customer, to ensure the customer completely understands the deposit payment purpose and function. The bank can charge penalty to the customer for delay payment, but it cannot taken as such income for the bank. Furthermore, bank can charge customer a penalty for late payment, but this cannot be used as. In addition, bank can charge customer a penalty for late payment, but this cannot be used as a source of income for the bank. If a hire fails to pay on time for any reason, the institution Sharia Supervisory Board will direct the hire to contribute a particular sum or percentage of the rental to charity. For failure to pay, penalty will be levied. Some agreement of financial lease impose a late payment charge at 1.00% if there is delay in the payment of rental after the due date. The failure to pay on time is a breach of contract. When two or more parties enter into a legally binding contract, they are bound by the contract terms and conditions. Any violation of this term will result in a loss for the innocent party, which must be repaid. A monetary charge from a debtor for late payment is exactly the riba that prohibited by Al-Quran, and this is not permissible in Sharia. Furthermore, Sharia law has permitted this regulation of imposing a penalty for late payment in order to safeguard the lessor from the late payment and to avoid the poor attitude of lessors who like to defer payment. The purpose of this rule is to protect all parties involved and maslahah to all.
Next, the third issue is regarding lack understanding and awareness of both parties. The lack of understanding in the concept of AITAB involves two parties, namely the bank and the customer. In this case, customers do not really understand the basic differences between AITAB financing and conventional hire purchase facility. This is due to the perception that AITAB financing looks same with conventional hire purchase in terms of their operation, documentations, and legal prescription. Not only that, some of the bank officers do not have a clear idea what is the major distinction between AITAB financing and conventional hire purchase financing. Hence, to resolve this issue, financial institution is recommended to educate their employees on Sharia legislations. Therefore, this will result for a higher satisfaction of customers, which is because the customer will have a better confidence in using Sharia banking products, especially in AITAB scheme. In addition, customers also will have a better understanding of Sharia financial legislation. Lastly, the fourth issue is about maintenance and insurance responsibility. The current practice of AITAB financing in Malaysia shows that the customer is solely responsible with the maintenance while the bank only acts as a financier. So here, the issue is it is different from the real practice of leasing, which the bank has to be responsible with the maintenance of the hired goods. Not only that, for insurance matters, the general principle of ijarah says that insurance coverage or takaful of an asset is the responsibility of the owner, which is the bank. But in the current practice, it shows that lessee, the customer, is the one who is responsible to bear the cost of insurance or takaful of the asset, since the customer is the one who is using the leasing asset. According to a study, this is because AITAB's facility does not have specific Sharia guidelines or act in order to regulate the facility. Therefore, Syariah Legal Opinions, the Fatwa Syariah of the Kuwait Finance House Malaysia Berhad confirms that it is lawful to make the lessee responsible for insurance if the amount is known, because it may then become a part of the lease payment. As a conclusion, this discussion shows that Islamic hire purchase has some strengths and limitations. ITAB financing is widely accepted by the customers in Malaysia because it serves better features compared to conventional one. ITAB can benefit from many rules provided in the Hire Purchase Act 1967, which are not contradictory with Sharia principles and create a better position compared to the conventional hire purchase. As a recommendation, both government and Islamic banks should be more transparent in educating the society about the ITAB facility in Malaysia. Also, Muamalah Hire Purchase Bill should be implemented to have ITAB facility, which fully complies with Sharia principles. Hence, this will give a progressive influence towards upgrading the position of Sharia law and institutions in Malaysia. That's all from us. Thank you.